Good afternoon, everyone. We're just 5 days away from a government shutdown because Republicans have decided that they don't want to fund the government in a bipartisan way and are determined to continue to gut the health care of the American people. The Republican health care crisis visited upon everyday Americans has been unrelenting this year. The facts speak for themselves. The largest cut to Medicaid in American history, impacting millions of Americans all across the country. Because of Republican actions, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics are closing across America, including in rural parts of the country that Republicans represent. Because Republicans have refused to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, 90% of which go to people who make less than $63,000 a year. That's working class Americans. Because of the Republican refusal to address the Affordable Care Act tax credit issue, at least 20 million Americans are about to experience dramatic increases in their health care premiums, copays, and deductibles. Medicare is facing a $536 billion cut at the end of the year if Congress doesn't take action because of the Republican one big ugly bill. And Republicans have effectively shut down medical research in the United States of America, including for children with cancer. The Republican assault on health care in the United States of America has been unprecedented and unrelenting. It's an assault on the health care of working class America, an assault on the health care of rural America, an assault on the health care of urban America, an assault on the health care of small town America, an assault on the health care of middle America, and an assault on the health care of black and brown communities throughout America. The Democratic position is clear. We will meet and sit down anytime, any place with anyone, including the president, who canceled the meeting because the Republicans have determined that they want to shut down the government and hurt the American people. That's an unacceptable and irresponsible position. Questions?
Good afternoon. Do you view the OMB memo as a threat, an effort to get you guys to back down, or a bluff?
We will not be intimidated by Russ Vought, who's completely and totally out of control. The OMB has been illegally shutting down parts of the government throughout the entire year. And the notion that Democrats are going to be intimidated by this guy, when all he's done is send a message to voters in Virginia and across the country that Republicans are determined to hurt the American people. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. If the government shuts down, it's because they want the government to shut down. And now the Trump administration has made their intentions clear. They want to continue to fire civil servants who are hard-working American taxpayers, because throughout the year, they've been firing civil servants who are hard-working American taxpayers. We will not be intimidated by these threats coming from the most extreme parts of the Trump administration.
Mr. Leader, I understand that you are not going to be intimidated by the Trump administration, but there are federal workers who don't want to get caught up in a political fight here. What would you say to federal workers that are just worried about losing their jobs?
Donald Trump and the administration have been engaging in mass firings that we deem illegal throughout the year. We will continue to push back against any effort to undermine federal civil service protections that exist in the United States of America. as a negotiating tactic, our response to Russ' vote is simple: get lost.
After March, we saw, I don't think I'm overstepping in saying this, some trust issues between House Democrats and Senate Democrats, and certainly with Senator Schumer. Has that trust been restored at this point as you enter into this week?
Yes.
Mr. Leader, what the Republicans are proposing is just an extension of funding for 7 more weeks. Why is it worth shutting down the government? Why not just agree to that and then have negotiations over the ACA later? Thune has said that he'll talk about the ACA extension.
The Republicans have made their intentions clear as it relates to health care of the American people. They want to destroy it. Republicans have spent the entire year destroying the health care of the American people. Our position is clear: cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care. Not too complicated to understand. The spending bill that was defeated in the Senate is dead on arrival. It doesn't have Democratic support. And so it's unclear to me why Republicans have fled Washington, D.C., why House Republicans have decided to cancel votes next Monday and Tuesday on the eve of government funding running out, and why Donald Trump agreed to a meeting in the White House to try to get to a resolution in a bipartisan way, and then pulled the plug on the meeting with an unhinged statement that he issued on social media. Something is really wrong with these folks. Like, we are here. I'm here, Washington, D.C., not hard to find. This is a district work period. We're ready, willing, and able to have a conversation to see if we can find common ground in a bipartisan way to reach a spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people. Republicans have decided they don't want to even have a conversation with Democrats to reach a bipartisan agreement. No one in America thinks that's reasonable. It's an inherently unreasonable position. My way or the highway. And they think that what? We're supposed to, as Democrats, abandon our fight to protect the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people when all Republicans have done this year is break promises? Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down in America. They're going up. Inflation is going up. Life has become more expensive under Donald Trump and Republican policies. And that includes health care premiums, which are about to skyrocket because of Republican policies and their decision to continue to gut the health care of the American people. We find that unacceptable. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care.
But just to follow up, there's no new policy in this CR. It's just an extension of spending. Here's what's interesting. So here's what's interesting. Republicans are lying about the notion that this continuing resolution is a clean bill. It's not a clean bill. It's a dirty one. There was a bipartisan agreement that was reached in December by Democrats and Republicans, signed into law by President Joe Biden. Any extension of funding connected to that December bill would be a bipartisan extension. That would be a reflection of spending levels achieved under the previous administration. In March, House Democrats strongly opposed and rejected the partisan spending bill that moved out of the House and went over to the Senate and was ultimately signed into law because, in our view, it represented an attack on veterans, an attack on women, infants, and children, an attack on child care, an attack on housing, and an attack on health care. That's why Democrats voted against it. So if they're continuing a policy related to legislation that they passed in the House on a partisan basis, how is that clean? It's not clean. It's dirty. It's not bipartisan. It's partisan. And their underlying appropriations bills, including as it relates to health care, in this appropriations process right now, represented an attack on public health infrastructure, an attack
on the Centers for Disease Control, an attack on the National Institute of Health, and an attack on vaccine availability. Republicans are up to their same dirty tricks as it relates to attacking and assaulting the health care of the American people, and we're not going to let the American people be fooled with this track record that they have, that they want to have a good faith conversation about health care, and we should trust them. That would be foolish on our part.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. In President Trump's Truth Social post canceling the meeting, he accused Democrats of making demands that would allow that because you want to promote gender-affirming care for transgender Americans, the Medicaid cuts that you're looking to repeal from the reconciliation law to advance health care for undocumented immigrants. Are you concerned? These are some of the issues that Democrats struggled with in the 2024 election, communicating your position to the American people. Are you concerned or confident in this showdown that Democrats will be able to communicate a message that really focuses on what you're fighting for and not what the president wants to make the debate about?
Let me be clear to the American people. Donald Trump and Republicans are lying. Federal law currently prohibits health care funds being used for undocumented immigrants, period, full stop. And no one is asking for that law to be repealed. This shows you how desperate they are. If Donald Trump really believed that he had a strong position here, then why'd you back out of the meeting, bro? Why? I don't understand. Let's have this debate in front of the American people. And on our side of the debate, we're very clear. You promised, Donald Trump promised to love and cherish Medicaid. He said that in January of this year, and then they turned around, these extreme MAGA Republicans, and what did they do? They enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. That's what the American people are facing right now. And that's what we're fighting hard to address, the Republican manufactured and created health care crisis. And it's on all the things, including the Affordable Care Act, which is deeply popular with the American people. Medicaid, deeply popular with the American people. Medical research, deeply popular with the American people. Medicare, deeply popular with the American people. These are the things that we are fighting hard to protect, to fix our broken healthcare system, and to make sure that healthcare costs don't continue to skyrocket in an environment where life is already too expensive because of Donald Trump, his Trump tariffs, the skyrocketing electricity costs, skyrocketing grocery costs, skyrocketing healthcare costs, skyrocketing housing costs. Like the majority of the American people, the overwhelming majority of the American people know the country is heading in the wrong direction. Why would we continue to allow Donald Trump to engage in the same old thing? And so our message to him is simple. 8 words, easy for him to understand. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. I'm curious if you have a time frame for weighing in on the New York City mayor's race. We're a month out from the start of early voting.
Soon.
What does that mean, though? You've been saying soon for several months.
So I have not been saying soon for several months. I've been saying sooner rather than later.
Is that complicated if there's a shutdown? How do you weigh in on New York?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. So you've been here for 24 plus hours. You said you're ready to negotiate. What have you been doing here? I understand some of your colleagues have kind of been around. Have you been trying to establish lines of communication with your Republican colleagues in the House and the Senate? Have you been trying to establish communication with White House aides or staff in the White House?
We're here, we're ready, we're willing, we're able to sit down anytime, any place with anyone. Not hard to find. I'm here in the Capitol, willing to go to the White House at any time in order to have that conversation. We also know that at the end of the day, Donald Trump is the decision maker here. So we can have conversations with House Republican leadership and Senate Republican leadership, but let's be clear. Who do we think is calling the shots for the Republican Party? Who's calling the plays? Who's making the ultimate decision? And the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate has tried to advance a bill that has gone down. They don't have the votes for their failed, partisan, dirty Republican spending bill. They don't have the votes. Leader Schumer and I demanded a meeting on Saturday, and Donald Trump responded that he wanted to meet. The meeting was set for later on in the week and confirmed on Monday. And then on Tuesday morning, Donald Trump woke up and for whatever the reason decided to back out of the meeting, to cancel the meeting. They're running scared. They have no defensible position, which is why they're lying about what Democrats are asking to do. All we're seeking to do is fund the government in a bipartisan way, as has often been the case, and make sure that we address the Republican health care crisis in America. No reasonable person evaluating what Republicans have done in their all-out assault on the health care ecosystem can argue that people of goodwill shouldn't be pushing back at this particular moment in time, and that's what Democrats will continue to do.
How much of this is your base spending the last 9 months telling you guys to fight harder and do something, and this being the only actual possibility to have some legislative leverage?
The health care crisis impacting the American people is real. The issue is about health care. And in a matter of days, notices are going to go out to tens of millions of Americans, indicating to them that their health care insurance costs, their premiums, their copays, and their deductibles are about to skyrocket in ways that will bankrupt Americans. That is not an acceptable thing in this great country, the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And that is why Democrats in the House and the Senate are standing together and fighting hard to protect the health care of everyday Americans.
Do you have any reaction to the news out of New Jersey that Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill's personal records were released by the National Archives to a political opponent?
I support a criminal investigation into the unauthorized and illegal release of Mikey Sherrill's records. Mikey Sherrill is a patriot and a hero who has served this country, graduated from the Naval Academy, helicopter pilot, tours of duty in dangerous places overseas in the Middle East, came home, served as a federal prosecutor, is a supermom, and a great public servant and member of Congress. And it's outrageous that Donald Trump and his administration and political hacks connected to them continue to violate the law. And they will be held accountable. The statute of limitations, I remind all of the sycophants out there, is 5 years. This Justice Department will be long gone before the statute of limitations expires.
Yeah, Leader Schumer said in March that a prolonged shutdown could perhaps give the president unchecked authority. So do House Democrats hold any of those same fears today?
Donald Trump has been engaging in a manner consistent with unchecked authority from the beginning of his presidency.
Thank you, Leader. We've heard from ICE officials saying that the rhetoric towards ICE agents needs to be turned down. Do you believe the rhetoric coming from members of your caucus and your party is putting ICE agents at risk?
Here's what I believe. One, political violence directed against anyone at any time for any reason in the United States of America, and ideologically driven violence is unacceptable. And the climate of violence that exists right now in the United States of America is out of control, and we need leadership coming from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to take the temperature down for everybody, to bring people together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. Take a page from Ronald Reagan's playbook when he brought the temperature down, or George W. Bush, or Bill Clinton, or Barack Obama. Now, with respect to the Department of Homeland Security, they should be ashamed of themselves. They put out what effectively is a hit list against Democratic public officials, put a target on the backs of Democratic public officials with outrageous and outlandish charges, and they're using taxpayer dollars to do it. And we will certainly have more to say about the Department of Homeland Security's hit list in short order. But they need to look in the mirror and reflect on their own behavior and the potential danger that political officials within the Department of Homeland Security are risking in the United States of America. Back. You got it. No, you got it. Yeah. Right there. Yeah. Red.
So I'm wondering
sorry, behind you.
Leader Jeffries, you indicated yesterday that you
That was confusing for a while. Yes.
Color-coded.
the color house. You indicated yesterday that you wanted to see legislation to address the ACA subsidies. You already have top Republican leaders indicating they are open to looking at that issue. Publicly, they've said that. If you had an agreement on a bipartisan deal to address the expiration of those subsidies and move that separately, could Democrats back a funding bill to avoid it?
I have a forward-looking, positive, communicative relationship with the Speaker of the House. But is there any reason for the country to trust Republicans right now as it relates to protecting their health care when Donald Trump and Republicans have spent the entire year gutting the health care of the American people? But we're supposed to simply trust the extremists on this issue? No, I don't think that would be prudent in terms of our ironclad commitment to addressing the Republican health care crisis.
Are there any talks at all going on between you and Leader Schumer or your staffs with Republican counterparts?
Leader Schumer and I are in constant communication. House and Senate Democrats are in constant communication. Donald Trump and the Republicans have taken this entire year going it alone. That's been their approach. Go it alone. And there was a brief moment when Republicans appeared to come to their senses in terms of the need to find a bipartisan path forward when Donald Trump agreed to meet with Leader Schumer and myself to have a tough and firm discussion about finding a path forward where Republicans can articulate their priorities and Democrats can articulate our priorities as it relates to funding the government in a bipartisan way, avoiding a shutdown, and addressing the health care crisis that Republicans have created in the United States of America. They all have my number. We're ready and willing to talk. I'll debate Mike Johnson on the House floor publicly. I've extended that invitation to him since April. Hasn't taken it up yet. We're ready in the most transparent way possible to work this out for the American people. But the Republicans canceled votes. The Republicans have said, we want to have no conversations with Democrats. And the Republican president canceled a White House meeting because they all want to shut down the government and hurt the American people. Thank you all.
What exactly are your reservations with Mumbai?
Thank you all.